Back, this Rick with 45 News Utah. Little late tonight. I apologize. It is 9:29 at night on Monday in Utah, Mountain Standard Time. So we're gonna break down the COVID-19 virus and animals. This was released by the CDC. So I'm gonna go back to the possibility of mice being infected with COVID-19, or SARS-CoV-2 is the disease, I guess they're calling it. So this is www.cdc.gov, March 25th, 2021. Laboratory mice, chickens, and ducks do not seem to become infected or spread infection based on results of studies. So that's big headlines. Big headlines. Like, yeah, the CDC, they know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. So let's click on this and go to the actual study. And remember, this was released by the CDC. What they know about it, yes, it does transfer back between animals and people. That is a definite. And we've understood this for a while, those of us that's been watching this. It says right here, people with suspected or confirmed COVID-19 should avoid contact with animals, including pets, livestock, and wildlife. Not good, not good. This is the stuff that other news stations will not be talking about. And the reason why is because of fear factor. Just a fear factor. Now, on the fence on this, this could be possibly just be nothing big. I'm just saying it could be nothing big. It could just go away, be fine, blah, blah, blah. But on the fence, but on the other side where the possibilities are, there's a chance that it could do a lot more damage once it gets into animals and then back to humans again. Remember, every time this thing has a pool of mammals to work in, or other animals or bugs or whatever, it can become dangerous. The more it has time to evolve and learn and to go back into these different populations and spread across the planet, the more chances I have that we could possibly be facing some kind of 12 monkeys type virus or something similar to that. We do not know where this is going to go. Neither does the CDC. Neither does the world. The entire world. Nobody knows. Nobody knows this time. So I'm hearing some back and forth about India saying that, it's not as bad as it's saying. Everybody's saying the news is showing it's just death everywhere. Yeah, so it's, it's up in the air. This is all educational, but it's an opinion piece by 45 News Utah, not just, fact to the point where this is gospel. You have to do this research yourself. I appreciate you guys that are commenting. You're doing awesome. Thank you very much. This intrigues me to look into this type of stuff. It's really good. Really good for me to check this out, because it's not a fear factor. It's just you have to research the possibilities. I mean, possibilities are there. They can happen. You can't just sit back and say, oh, that's not going to happen, because you don't have a crystal ball. And if you do, rent it out. That's what I'd tell you, because rent it out to the kleptocrats in Washington, the global hedge funds and the banks and all those other people that run the world and cause all the issues. So, risk of animals spreading SARS-CoV-2, the virus. It's actually SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19 to people. So some coronaviruses that infect animals can be spread to people and then spread between people. Spread to people and then spread between people. We get that. But this is rare. Okay, wait. Yeah. They're talking about saying it's the people, animals get it from the people, and then that's what they're breaking. Let's just speak English on this. So they're saying people get sick with it. They handle their livestock or their pets, and then it goes back to them. They're saying it's very rare. That's really very rare. Like the bats. What happened to the bats? The wet market in Wuhan. We don't hear nothing about anymore. You don't hear any words, anything talking about the wet markets. Nobody's actually saying nothing about the wet markets. Wouldn't the wet markets be top priority? Wouldn't we want to hear, as a world that suffered through a year plus of this draconian COVID lockdown, some have suffered death, debilitating health problems, the hospitals and the doctors are just banking the money, saying that's not COVID, with all the other medical issues that come about with the COVID infections. You can look that up for yourself. Yeah, and you got a stomach problem. Oh, let's just run a scope down you. Oh, you got this going. Oh, your lungs are shot. Your liver. It looks like a hepatitis. COVID's known to affect the organs and cause issues later on. And it's long COVID. It's like a long-term COVID effects. So anyway, so it can spread to different animals and to different people, from different animals into people and back again. And risk of people to animals, close contact. Yeah, you're in close contact with your dogs, just so you know. Cats, and then it can spread to other animals. Okay, animals with reported SARS-CoV-2 infection. Yeah, it says we know that companion animals like dogs, cats, that stuff like that, or it's going to happen, and it is happening. A small number of pet cats and dogs have been reported to be infected with SARS-CoV-2, which is what happens after you get COVID-19, apparently, or SARS-CoV-2 is the beginning of it. I don't know which way it is. This is called COVID-19. I'm not going to, that's just getting tongue twisting. So anyway, looks like it's in several countries, including the U.S. One ferret was reported positive in Slovenia. Several animals in zoos, sanctuaries have tested positive for SARS, or just COVID-19, including big cats, lions, tigers, pumas, cougars, snow leopards, and non-human primates, gorillas, blah, 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 showing signs of infection. It is suspected that these animals became sick after being exposed to an animal caretaker with COVID-19. In many situations, it has happened despite the staff wearing personal protective equipment and following COVID-19 precautions. That's pretty easy to, well, apparently, if you have it, you go to work, you're going to spread it to the animals. We can understand that. We can. It was reported in minks. Minks has multiple countries. These minks have gotten sick. Mink farms mainly. Yeah, however, some infected minks might also appear healthy, even though they've got, COVID. Infected workers spread it to the animals. There's a bunch of that going on in several countries. Netherlands, Denmark, Poland. New data suggests it might also occur in the United States. Michigan, yeah, had it. So this is kind of weird when you get into it. They're talking about mink farms because it was its own strain. It was a cluster of 5 mutations inside of a variant, what they're calling stuff. They're basically the multiple mutations, 5, 10, 12 mutations into one variant. They've gotten, they can't even say, mutation anymore because there's just too many mutations in each variant. It's easier for them to say variant. It sounds less dangerous. Let's see. So yeah, that strain has basically disappeared. I don't know what's going on in the mink farms lately. I don't know. It may have died out, but apparently you can still spread it to minks and cats and dogs and stuff like that. More studies have been done to learn more about how this virus can affect different animals. Recent experimental research shows that many mammals, including cats, dogs, bank voles, voles, and ferrets, fruit bats, hamsters, mink, pigs, rabbits, raccoon dogs, I guess, shrews, and white-tailed deer can be infected with the virus. That is not good for America, the white-tailed deer. That they've already suffered through prions disease. Not a good deal. So anyway, yeah, it says cats and ferrets, fruit bats, hamsters, raccoon dogs, and white-tailed deer can also spread the infection to other animals of the same species in laboratory settings. So they're saying that the mice, chickens, ducks do not seem to become infected or spread the infection based on results from studies. Now let's get into that, where they're saying these findings were based on a small number of mammals and do not show whether animals can spread infection to people. More studies are needed to understand if and how different animals can be affected by COVID-19. So that basically just blew everything out of the water. I'm just telling you, I'm not being, it's not conspiracy theory, because these findings were based on a small number of animals. Was this like, we had 2 deers in a cage, and those 2 deers didn't spread it to each other, so we're thinking, no, the deer spread it to each other. The rabbits didn't. So maybe those two deers, I'm saying deers because it's hilarious, it's already plural. Maybe those two deer did spread it to each other in the lab, and the others might not have, because, you know, I'm just telling you, the virus is like a demon, and they stick this swab down your throat, into your nose, back down your tongue, and they pull it out, and then they test it, like, oh, you don't got it. You don't got it. Then you go spit in a tube, and then next thing you know, you got it. You know, it's all just bonkers. The whole thing's bonkers. So I would strongly suspect that, in my opinion, it is contagious to mice and other animals. And also, thank you for the article. I checked it out. It is spread to mice. But I want to go back to the CDC. I typed in COVID-19 transmission to mice. That's all I did. And CDC came up. So that was the very first one. And that was from March 25th, 2021. Yeah. I'm just saying, COVID variants detected in animals may find hosts in mice. This is March 25th. And so we got the CDC and we got webmed.com. So their depiction of this whole situation is, remember, we're dealing with a very small amount of animals they tested per species. We're not talking about a big, you know, we tested 100 deers, and those 100 deers spread it between 4 of them. You know, we don't have the statistics. You don't know any of this stuff. All you need to know, okay, it goes from deer to deer. It can go probably back to deer to humans. It can go from probably mice. I mean, we're looking at this, we'll read more into it. But we do know that, you know, other animals, and especially mink, can spread it to humans. That has happened. And vice versa. And same with the, you know, in the zoo. So, you know, big cats, they can spread it to you. So, but the point is what this thing can do when it gets into different animals and comes back to humans, because look what the bat did. Just telling you. Look what it kicked off. Too many mutations. Too many. Too fast called variants. The new coronavirus variants are not just problems for humans. This is WebMed. Okay, new research shows that they can also infect animals. And for the first time, variants have been able to infect mice. Boom. These articles were out at the same time. I just gotta check. Just gotta check my dates, guys. Just gotta check my dates. This is March 25th, 2021. Let's go back to, I hope I didn't, March 25th, 2021, CDC, www.cdc.gov. You think that they would probably get their heads together, you know? The headlines should be a little more, you know, out there for the truth. So this is the whole problem. This is what's going on. The government's got to start being a little more open with the public, because we're starting to see a lot of pushback right now. I understand. We need pushback. We're kind of like just overdoing it at this time. This stuff needs to be completely checked out. We need to be ready. You know, the other bills they got going on, they need to kind of consider thinking about what they really need to be doing for a apocalyptic extinction level event hitting the world due to a variant, which is tons of mutations into these variants, they're calling them. Okay. So it says it can go to mice, a development that may complicate efforts to rein in the global spread of the virus. Well, we know this. This is, if it gets into mice, we're in a lot of trouble. We're already in a lot of trouble in that sense, depending which way this thing goes. Okay, in addition, 2 new studies have implications for pets. We know that. Yep. Infections, the fastest spreading. Okay, so they're saying infections of B117, the fastest spreading variant first found in the UK in dogs and cats. The animals in the UK study also have heart damage. Remember that. Okay, remember they already have heart damage. Now, let's just put this in perspective for a second, because during this time in January, the doctors told me I did not have COVID. It attacked my gallbladder. I read a study about it attacking your gallbladder. Coronavirus attacks your gallbladder, causes thickening of the gallbladder walls, and sludge inside your gallbladder. It's doing it. This is where everybody's getting a scope down their throat. Well, the gastrologist, we got to get you in. We'll take you in. We're going to stick this down there, check your gastrologist. It's coronavirus. A lot of it is. I'm just going to say it. I don't care. In this study at the UK, the dogs had heart damage. Yeah, but it's unclear if the damage was caused by the virus, or was already there and was found as a result of their infection. You know, personal note, I know people close to me that's had a virus attack their heart, and we already know SARS-CoV-2 causes swelling inside your organs around your heart, cause inflammation around the sac around your heart. You know, just given this slippery slope that everybody's on, I'm seeing a lot of sick people, talking a lot of sick people that's just got issues, heart palpitations. Know somebody that died of a heart attack. I know somebody that's died of some other issues with COVID, the pneumonia. We already know the damage to the lungs. We already know there's damage throughout your body due to blood clots. We already know the Johnson & Johnson vaccine had a couple people that actually got blood clots out of a bunch of people. We already know that. That's probably due to your own immune system that's doing this. So the damage to the heart could be the immune system. I mean, where is that? Well, we're not clear if the dog's own immune system overreacted, causing damage throughout the body of the dog, including the heart and the muscle, and caused blood clots that cut off the blood flow that caused heart damage. That's a no-brainer. Doesn't take a physician to tell you if you have damage being done by your immune system and aggressively attacking your body to the point where you have extreme inflammation like I did, which the doctors are still saying, by the way, I did not have coronavirus in January, which was a year after I had it the last time, and everybody around me got corona, or some didn't, said tested negative, then they tested positive on their second or third try, and then it's probably true. You know, this right here tells you the suspicion's there. It's not a suspicion. This is preciously why we cannot be complacent about emergence of new variants whose properties we don't understand. More tests need to be done. We don't have enough information. It's going to take us a while. We have to think, not enough information. We got to have more studies, got to have more tests. This should be a vigorous test. This should be like, we should have we're talking like the A-team on this coronavirus, checking these variants and possibly, we should hear about that in the news. You should go to the bobbleheads on fake news media that, they can't even get a story right about Rudy Giuliani that they had to retract, that I'm not going to be able to get into tonight till maybe another show if I can stay awake long enough. But yeah, these guys can't get it right, and the newscasts are not talking about it. Hey, this is pretty big. This come from WebMD, and they're pretty credible, and they're saying, we better be ready for this type of stuff. Yeah, we risk the establishment of new reservoirs. Let's just pause. Let's do that. Peter Griffin. Yeah, reservoirs. Reservoirs. New reservoirs. Okay. It went from a bat to a human. Look how that worked out for us, right? Just throwing it out there. New reservoirs. Let's say mice, ducks, and chickens apparently didn't get it through their little study they did at the CDC. But then WebMD comes out and says they got information that possibly could. Everybody uses the word soup. Whenever they post anything, it's a word soup. Don't want no liability on all this. I can't get in trouble for all this. Just being honest with you guys, because you're awesome. We have to put up with this type of stuff. Just a miserable deal we have to deal with. One side saying one thing, and the next minute the other side saying it. I'm just curious who's at the wheel. Or is Jack Sparrow at the helm of the ship and going, rum, where's the rum? It's like, please, Jack Sparrow, just give us a guidance. Let's just come out and say the truth. Okay, we don't want this going into animals, guys. We got to stop it from spreading. If we don't stop the damn virus, we're going to end up with the 12 monkeys type live underground because the virus broke out. And what we experienced now from the past year and whatever was just basically a precursor to the new reservoirs and the new mutations that are going to be called variants to keep everybody calm so everybody's just fine. It's like, that's a variant, but it's not fine. It's not fine. we want to roll the dice every day. We've been waiting for something like this to come along. And did we all expect it was just going to be like easy, where we had a breakout in the Congo of the Ebola virus and we just go in and stop it? Or was it going to be, hey, wait a minute, the planet is experiencing a pandemic that wasn't really quite a pandemic, but was. And during this time, we had a variant, which was actually a whole mess of mutations inside of these different variants. And one was really dangerous, and it just took out half the world's population in 30 days because it had the ability to not say, hey, the epicenter's right here in Congo. What we got to do is just get it, stop it. Or the Zaire, let's just stop it. But we can't, because COVID, if it is this 12 monkeys virus, and I'm disclaimer, I'm an actor. I just have to do that for legality purposes. Captain Obvious here. This could happen. The planet is covered in COVID. It's still breaking out. And when there is a hotspot of a real variant, which is actually a bunch of mutations, is, let's just say it jumps from a shrew to a human, and that shrew and all its other shrew buddies had a whole other reservoir or population it could just go running through. And it came back and it went into a human, which is very rare, by the way, but could happen. It is happening. And it just decided to be an extinction level event virus. How would you know? Would it be that all of a sudden emergency rooms fill up and people just start dying everywhere? I mean, how long would we have with an incubation period? How long would we have, say, asymptomatic people carrying it around? How long would we have if this thing already breaks out as a variant, which is a bunch of mutations, and one's from a shrew or a kangaroo or anything, or a white-tailed deer, guy out deer hunting, guts his deer, gets COVID-19, whatever you want to call it. It just has this, just getting slippery slope on names. It'll be deer COVID, and it goes into that hunter, and he produces a less deadly type variant, but it's in, these mutations are inside of that variant, and something happens between human to human, and it becomes even more deadly. I mean, do we know? Do we actually have hard? No, it cannot start out mild and have asymptomatic people, and then the next guy's just dead or in dirt, and then that guy's fine. The next person's just dead or in dirt. I'm just saying, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact. And I'm just not being rude or trying to get everybody paranoid. This is WebMD, guys. It's the CDC. I understand we don't need the paranoia, but the public needs to know globally. I mean, this is here. This is here. And it's spreading all across, it's spread all across the world. And it will continue. Yeah. It says right here, animal studies of coronavirus and its emerging variants are urgent. So her name's Sarah Hammer, DVM, a veterinarian and epidemiologist at the Texas A&M University College of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Science in College Station, says. She's a part of a network of scientists. So apparently, guys, we do have a Dustin Hoffman type, bunch of guys and women and men running around that have PhDs, and they are, well, not PhDs, they're veterinarians, I guess you'd call it that, but the veterinarians are looking into this. So that's encouraging. So it looks like veterinarians and epidemiologists, Texas A&M. Go Texas A&M. Go. Do this. Do what you're doing. And this is the 25th. Yeah, this is so that hopefully these guys have gotten something going, because apparently we're a month or more behind on an update on this. This is in New York. Researchers at the Institut Pasteur in Paris, in Newark. So I said New York. Sorry, I tongue tired. In Newark, researchers at the Institute, so basically in Paris, have shown that the B1351 and P1 variants of concern, which were first identified in South Africa and Brazil, respectively, can infect mice, giving the virus a potential new host. There it is. Institut Pasteur in Paris. Well, there's your documentation of it. Can infect mice, respectively. There's the word soup. Respectively can infect mice. Older versions of the virus couldn't infect mice because they weren't able to bind to receptors of their cells. Yeah, think about that for a minute. The older versions could not bind to the cells. The newer variants can in mice. It's learning, guys. It's learning. It's learning at a pace that we haven't seen. And anybody says, oh, viruses mutate all the time. The one that broke out in Sweden through the minks, and they were 20. That was five different mutations. And luckily it died out. It's learning to adapt, to bind to cells. These two new variants can in mice. On one hand, that's a good thing because it will help scientists more easily conduct experiments in mice. Before, if they want to do an experiment with the coronavirus in mice, they had to use a special strain. Not good. Not good. Not good. That's not good. From the beginning of the epidemic, and since human coronavirus emerged from animals, it has been very important to establish in which species the virus can replicate. In particular, those species that live close to humans. You know, I'm just speechless because this was March 25th. March 25th. That this WebMD and, you know, the other places that are doing this, Texas A&M and the Paris laboratory, they've discovered this on the 25th. So it says, and the move of the virus into mice suggests that the virus could establish itself in the population of wild animals that live close to humans. Went through that. At this point, we have no evidence that wild mice are infected or can become infected from humans. All it takes is one jump, by the way. Cats can get it, so your pets can get it, and they go bite a mouse, okay? I mean, there's your bridge. Somebody wants to bridge something over like that and find a new reservoir to work in. Well, there you go. Cats in your face. You get coronavirus, the new 2 strains from the UK where it started, and South Africa where that variant, which is multiple mutations inside a variant, they couldn't attach to the cells because the spike proteins the receptors weren't there. The spike proteins weren't mutated enough to be able to bind to the cells of mice. The first, now it does. Probably couldn't bind to mule or white-tailed deer or any of the other animals. Got lucky with a mink. It got into the mink. That one learned, disappeared, didn't work. This new one works. It binds to all these other different animals. So, yeah. Yeah, they're saying while an outbreak on a mink farm has been bad, imagine what would happen. Yeah. Says so far, we've been lucky. Livestock species aren't really susceptible to this. Yeah, the word soup. Word soup. Constantly throwing a word soup out there. Here's my word soup for the day. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what I'm talking about, apparently. And I'm just bringing you facts that have been stated by other websites and, CDC saying this and then WebMD saying this. So, word soup. And reservoirs. And, quite possibly strong evidence. Yeah. They need to repeat the studies. Pets catch variants too. And these, you look at it, you just say, why isn't this being... So I'm gonna end the video here in a minute. It's 10 o'clock. And I don't know how long I've been going, about 30 minutes. So just to give the world, if you're listening from free America, free radio, free media, free press, America here, right here, 45 News, Utah, Western States Media. Nobody knows anything at this point other than what they're finding. And global markets depend on the facts that this doesn't get out, or there is not the variant, which is multiple mutations that they have to label variants now. And if people don't understand that they're calling a variant a bunch of mutations, and that it is transmittable from humans to animals, and it does go from animals to human, and it's learning as it goes. Even white-tailed deer can now be infected with these 2 new strains. And their big concern was trying to get mice for laboratory rats to see if they can work different cures. And now the virus has learned they had to find a way to bind this, to get the virus to bind the cell. Now it does it on its own. Now it's learned. It's mutated that fast. That fast. When it has a population of mice to run through, or just animals in general, the planet Earth, it's going to take this virus, and it goes back and forth. It goes between the different animals in the same species. It goes from that species to the next species. If it doesn't stop, if it doesn't decide that it's going to be less deadly, more contagious, and just be like, not even the flu, because that stuff there, you can get this from your horse. Go riding around the prairie, give him an apple, chewing on an apple, got some SARS-CoV-2 horse, 25 different mutations in a horse variant, and you eat that out, you get to eat that apple, and you go in there, light up a cigarette, and you're smoking your cigarette on your horse, and a few days later, you don't feel good. Well, your wife and kids and everybody else has got it, and it's in the school and at the daycare or wherever, and you went to work and spread it everywhere. Because remember, in the zoo, the workers spread it to the big cats and primates, and they weren't in close contact with them. I mean, that's just a thought. Not a fear factor, guys. Knowing is a key to the future, and if these guys are saying this on March 25th, there has to be a retracted story. We have to have a retracted version of this. We need that, or we need a magical pill, something. The vaccine companies need to be, I hope they're looking at this and these variants, and they are ready. I hope they got that. Just, we're going to get a medical team together. We're going to fly in on a $30 million helicopter land, get that sample, get it back to the lab, and then you're going to have the CIA and FBI and Homeland Security and England, Australia, all their top people together, and they're going to find this variant, and they're going to stop it. But if it's loose in the animal population, just think of this. Even if we get it under control in the human population, and every animal's carrying this virus, it's just running through it like the rabbits do every 5 years for their cycle with tularemia, and it just is like just runs and runs and runs around, doesn't die out. We could be in a load of trouble. Doesn't take a rocket scientist. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope nobody bans me from YouTube because these are all factual possibilities. They're all factual. These are, that WebMD and CDC, that is factual, documented, what they put up there. And on their websites, they're backing it with their doctors. Word soup or not, possibilities looks like strongly, yeah. It's moving through the animal population. Fake news, false news is wrong. And I agree. I agree. Fake news, what just happened with Rudy Giuliani and the story that's retracted. Hey, that's interesting. That's fake news. Unreliable sources giving them information. I'm looking at WebMD and the CDC. So if they're unreliable sources and they get it wrong, hey, I'm great. I would rather retract this entire show to my 11, 12 awesome followers or 5 followers and people that watch this video. I would just be elated. But if I'm wrong, if I'm right, then it won't matter anymore. It won't matter. Because I won't be able to ride my horse. I hate riding horses anyway. If I did get a horse, I got rid of my horses years ago. I couldn't go deer hunting because I get SARS COVID-2 from a deer or an elk. Just thought, food for thought. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for the heads up on that art. I can't remember. You're awesome, dude. You're awesome. Appreciate it. It just got my mind going, and you're just fantastic. That's the stuff. This is what you need to join the team. You need to join the team. Sending me that link to that video. That'd be great. Anyway, you guys have a great night, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.